In the history of the University of Oklahoma, no opponent has caused more problems for the Sooners than Notre Dame. In the 10-game series between the two, Oklahoma has won only once. In fact, on November 16, 1957, it was Notre Dame that ended Oklahoma's 47-game unbeaten streak right here at Owen Field. Before that, the last team to beat Oklahoma? Notre Dame, 4 years earlier. So while many may only remember last year's 30-13 defeat here at Owen Field, or the 34-30 loss up in South Bend in 1999, Oklahoma has plenty more reason than that to seek revenge on Saturday afternoon.
I guess you, I don't want to say it's a revenge factor. It's kind of just more so just showing them that we can play just as good as them.
A little bit, yeah. I think revenge kind of goes into it, but we just know that we have to come ready to play. If you play emotional and you start making mistakes off, revenge or trying to get somebody's number or something like that, that you can tend to make mistakes, and that's not the type of team that we want to be. We want to play more steady, and emotion is definitely going to be a part of it, but you have to kind of control that.
I've only been a part of a couple of them, and those really don't have any weight on what happens in this one. So whether you won them or lost them, you treat them each as their own. It's its own opportunity, and we're anxious about this one.
You definitely hear from some of the older guys. I remember last year we got a couple letters from some guys that played when they, the last time we beat them. So I realize how important it is to the fans. We realize that it's one of those games that our fans are going to travel very well to and support us fully. So I guarantee you we'll work our hardest to try to come out with that one for everybody.
I can't do anything for everybody else. I'd kind of like to win for our team and for us, and that's plenty. I'm not worried about everybody else.
So Saturday afternoon at Notre Dame Stadium in front of Touchdown Jesus and everyone else, Catholic coach Bob Stoops will stand on the sideline as Catholic center Gabe Eichert snaps the ball to Catholic quarterback Blake Bell as Oklahoma tries to get win number 2 in this storied series. Reporting from Owen Field in Norman, Damon Fontenot, News OK Sports.
Welcome to Remarkable Rivalries, brought to you by the Hudeberg Auto Group. I'm Barry Trammell. Oklahoma, Texas is a college football rivalry like no other. Hot Bloods versus Blue Bloods. The truest of neutral sites, equidistant from each campus, with the Cotton Bowl split 50-50 across midfield for fans. The State Fair of Texas serving as a backdrop. As Sooners from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s told us, it's much more than a game.
Emotion is the first word. I played a lot of football, a lot of levels, high school, college, pro. Emotion. I think of some of the bigger games that I played in high school or the NFL, and none of them compare.
Everybody always wants to ask her, what was your record against Texas? Well, it'd be great if you could say 4-0. You definitely don't want to say 1-3. So I think there's a amount of pressure as a player, because I think players that get recruited to go to Oklahoma, they want to play Texas. Texas players go to Texas so they can play Oklahoma, so they can play in that marquee games.
It's not a normal game by any chance. This is the game at that point in time. It's everyone is trying their best. I'm not saying you don't try in a normal game, but there is a lot more emphasis that this is a make or break game for the two schools, if you will. When OU plays Texas, everything is off the table. It's 0-0 in the record and loss columns. This is the game. So there's nothing normal about the game. It's about state pride, and so everyone is giving 110%, as they say.
On the field, it was tough, hard-nosed football, and a lot at stake, from a pride standpoint. And then, of course, it would have national implications. Certainly did for us in '67, and then in '69 they won the national championship. They wouldn't have if they hadn't have beaten us. We were tied at halftime, I think. So, it was a lot on the line.
There was a lot more John out on the field. because we hate burnt orange. I mean, that was just the whole mystique of that game. And so when you come as far as, you know, talking to each other down in the trenches, or people jawing each other, or things are said before the game, it kind of stung more. It kind of stings a little bit more, and you take it more personal, because it's very personal when you're playing that game.
But this is the game you want to win. I mean, this is the game that you circle your schedule on. You know, everybody, out of all your family members come out of the woodwork for this. And, you know, I still take enjoyment thinking back to those locker rooms, how, you know, not nervous necessarily, but just the silence. It wasn't like playing at your home locker room where you know everything is that. I mean, you know you're in for a fight.
There's not much like it. There's not. You know, I hate to even say it, we played in 2 national championships, and it was just like that feeling. You know, it's such a big game and such a big feeling for us. It's something that we've worked so hard for that week, and that we've thought about all year. We've had circled on our calendar, and the only feeling that we really have is not leaving without that golden hat. We want that. We have to have it, and the feeling of right before you go out is just a brotherhood, and Coach Stoops leading us, and everybody having one goal, and that's to win that game.
The Sooners play Saturday at Notre Dame, and in a 10-game series with the Irish, the most famous affair occurred 56 years ago here on Owen Field. On that November Saturday, Notre Dame ended Oklahoma's 47-game winning streak, one of the most epic records in sport.
The Sooners are unbeaten in 47 straight games, and Oklahoma features a scoring streak of 123 consecutive contests, both of which are all-time collegiate marks.
Notre Dame wasn't a great team that year. I think they lost 4 games, maybe 3, and they didn't go ahead, and after they beat us, they didn't have a super season, so those things kind of alarmed our coaches. And I remember that week, perhaps more than any other week, the coaches really over-prepared us. They ran us, it was a different atmosphere. And he told us later that had we not lost to Notre Dame, the class I was in, the 57 class, would have done something no team would have ever done, and they haven't done it yet, and that was to win 3 national championships back-to-back. So there was an urgency that week to prepare for Notre Dame.
Let me tell you, they played hard. Notre Dame's going to have some good players, even though their record wasn't good. But the Sports Illustrated deal, Oklahoma unbeatable, and what the emotional part of football is a big part. And they just wanted to win worse than we did because they wanted to break that winning streak. And Clinton and I and the guys bore the brunt of that after all those victories.
I could see how they were wanting to get even. We'd embarrassed them the year before to go in and not let them score a point. You know, nobody wants that done to them. I would have been embarrassed, got beat 40-0. So.
I don't think any of us believed it. You looked up in the stands and people were waiting for the next quarter. I mean, I don't think anyone believed it, and except the Catholics that were in the stadium. I looked up in the stadium, I saw a lot of turned back collars standing and cheering. And as we walked in the locker room, it was like, surely we've got another quarter to play. And we sat in the locker room without our gear off. I mean, we had every guy sitting on those benches, never took their jerseys off, never took their shoulder gear off. We were waiting for Coach Wilkerson to come in. And it was kind of a difficult scene.
You will always remember the games you lost. You will never remember the ones you won. And he gave an example of when he was at Minnesota and they lost a big game, and he said, that's the game we think about. And so here we are today, 50 years later, talking about what he said, the game we lost. We never lost another game.
It was a gut kick, but I only won 2 games in high school. I knew what losing was like. I didn't want it. Nobody wanted it. And no, it was a gut kick. But they, you know, to not be able to score that day, they proved that Wilkinson did. If you don't score, you don't win.
we don't see ourselves as an underdog in this game. Obviously, we realize they're ranked higher than us, and you know, they're favored when it comes to Vegas and all that stuff. But you know, we're still Oklahoma, and we've done a lot of special things around here for a long time.
Last game here in Boone Pickens Stadium, my senior night. It's Bedlam, playing for Big 12 championship. It's a lot riding on this game.
Well, I mean, over the last many years, I'd rather have the big picture of, but this week, I'd rather be where they're at. There's no denying that.
It's about the best to get, you know, in on a big win, Big 12 championship against your rival. All right, that's about storybook ending for me, I think.
Just one day after donating $1 million to the Red Cross through the Durant Family Foundation, Thunder superstar Kevin Durant was walking the streets of some of the neighborhoods hit hardest by Monday's monster tornado.
I think it's absolutely awesome. You know, I like Kevin Durant as a basketball player, and I like him more as a person now. So I think that was very generous what they did, and all of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Another service member KD ran into looked a bit familiar. Tim Krager is an Oklahoma City police officer who frequently works Thunder games. His wife, son, and mother-in-law were all home when the tornado hit. And while the house was destroyed, all emerged unscathed.
So, move on from there.
Where to go but up.
Move on stronger. Where to go but up.
Keep that spirit y'all got, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, you got a great attitude. It's great to see. I definitely need it.
What you gonna do? This is my second one, May 3rd.
Yeah, May 3rd? Did your house get destroyed in May 3rd?
Uh-huh. And my son that I was telling you about, he was inside that one too, in the closet.
And you
so he's done too. No, I was at work then.
Wow.
But he's been too. I said if you
your family, man.
Yeah.
Strong. Keep the faith. It's gonna work out.
Thank you, sir.
At the final stop of the day, Briarwood Elementary School, seen here minutes after the school was destroyed with students inside on Monday, Katie was left speechless by a meeting with Sherry Neal. Her 12-year-old son, Logan, was in the school, which miraculously suffered no fatalities.
He was able to get out okay, but they hid in the bath. They were in the hallway and then got in the bathroom, and they all escaped. They had to crawl out, and we just live right down that way. It's total devastation. I've lived in more all my life, been through a lot of tornadoes, and just the kids. I feel so sorry for them.
Yes, man.
Just want to say thank you to the
No problem.
foundation and everybody's support, and it's going to take a lot to rebuild, but I think we can do it.
We can, no doubt, we can. It's emotional, cathartic, surreal. It's the most emotionally devastating thing I've ever seen in my life, and I think Kevin feels that way. And it's also motivating because we're going to work extra hard as a foundation to make sure that we do our small part to help these people rebuild and recover.
And so the unlikely love affair between a former Longhorn and the people of Oklahoma continues. But this time it's KD doing everything he can to root on his fans and lend a helping hand when they need it most. How's that for coming through in the clutch? Damon Fontenot, News OK Sports. Over the past few years, the Oklahoma River has become one of the premier rowing venues in the nation, and even the world. And while water will always be the basis for the OKC Boathouse District, not everyone aspires to jump into a canoe or kayak. So to appeal to the masses, the Boathouse Foundation is reaching for the sky.
The sky trail behind us is the tallest sky trail in the world. And so they built it here. It's the RCI, the company that installed it for us and built it. This is the largest one they've ever done and the most challenging they've ever done. There's very few of them. Dollywood and you know, Disney and them has put them in, but there's very few of these. It's in tall outdoor structures in the United States right now.
If you have a fear of heights, the 8-story high Sandridge Sky Trail is not for you. In fact, it's probably your worst nightmare. After putting on a safety harness and surrendering any loose valuables, brave souls are given free rein on a towering jungle of ropes and suspension bridges. The higher up you climb, the more difficult challenge you encounter. When you reach the top, the view is almost unparalleled. And the trip down? Well, it's much, much quicker. Option 1, the rumble drop.
Which is an 80-foot free fall. And it's pretty exciting. The feeling doesn't change the second time you go up there. You still you hesitant about going off.
Option numero dos, the sky slide. While a less direct descent, this is not your run-of-the-mill playground slide, not by a long shot. After trading in your safety harness for a felt bag, you shoot down the tallest slide in the United States at speeds in excess of 20 miles per hour before soaring out into a bed of mulch. And for the kiddos, there's the youth zone, which includes the cloud bounce, kids zip, extreme jump, and playground. Youngsters can also go for a ride in a pedal jeep or practice surfing at the surf zone and rock climbing on the rock wall inside the Chesapeake Boathouse.
We really believe we're trying to make a difference, not only just for the city of Oklahoma City and what we do here and getting people active and moving and doing that stuff, but also we're making an impression on people worldwide in what we're doing here. You're never going to see another facility like there's no other facility like this that mixes all the sports with the Olympic, the elite, the kids, and then the attraction model that's behind us. I mean, there's no other place in the United States or that I know of in the world that mixes all this together, get people active and get people on the water and get people engaged in a sporting activity.
And believe it or not, there's much more to come here. Plans are in the works for 2 more boathouses, a world-class whitewater training center, a youth pavilion, and a zip line that spans the water. All part of a process that will certainly brighten the spotlight already shown on the little river that could. Reporting from the OKC Boathouse District, Damon Fontenot, News OK Sports. Nothing came easy down in the state of Texas this weekend. Oklahoma State, well, they get sabotaged down in Waco, 41-34. That was a tough game. The Baylor Bears are red hot. Meanwhile, the Sooners go to TCU for the first time since the Horned Frogs joined the conference. Get a tough 24-17 win. Welcome to the regular season finale of The Quest, sponsored by Call Okie. I'm your host, Damon Fontenot. I'll be accompanying you on your journey to find the week's top play from the Sooners and Cowboys. Tough week for the Pokes, as OSU finished the season with a disappointing loss down in Waco. The Cowboys, who tied for third in the Big 12, then get passed over by multiple bowls and end up in the heart of Dallas Bowl. And to top it off, the last few days were filled with rumors that head coach Mike Gundy was on his way out. Not true. Depressed people do not vote. At least that's the conclusion I've come to. As a result, the Stillwater precinct was almost completely silent this week. So in at number 4 is a play called Catching a Bullet. I'm not going to lie to you, not only did Oklahoma State lose, but the game was almost completely devoid of highlight-worthy plays. Subsequently, you end up with Josh Stewart stumbling while catching a hard pass over the middle. Was it a difficult catch? Perhaps. Was it worthy of a mention on our quest? Find the best of the best? Certainly not. We worked with what we were given. Let's move on quickly. Let's get past that, shall we? As hard as we try, we get sucked right back into that game. There was an orange power outage this week as the Cowboys' 2 plays combined to get only 5.5% of the vote on our poll. So coming in a distant third is a play called Top Shelf Throw. Midway through the second quarter, and the Cowboys trailed the Bears 24-10 when Clint Shelf found Josh Stewart with a pretty pass in the front far corner of the end zone. 15-yard touchdown pass capped an 8-play, 77-yard drive that took only 2 minutes and 36 seconds. OSU was within 7. Shelf had an okay day, completing 30 of 51 passes for 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. J. Stewie 5, as I like to call him, had another big-time performance, catching a game-high 12 passes for 147 yards and the score. Cowboys finished with somewhat impressive 560 yards of total offense, but gave up 615 to Baylor, including 319 on the ground. So not quite the usual intrigue, as we know our top 2 plays both come from the Sooners. Since one is offensive and one is defensive play, the script pretty much writes itself. In at number 2 for the week is a play called Purple People Leader. Oklahoma got its first taste of the purple place known as TCU since the Horned Frogs joined the conference, and R.J. Washington got to sample a rare delicacy called Travoin Boykin. Washington feasted on the redshirt freshman quarterback midway through the second, causing the fumble, which was scooped up by linebacker Frank Shannon and advanced 15 yards downfield. After originally being ruled an incomplete pass, Bob Stoops did get his way. His call was reviewed and ruled a fumble. Though an early whistle did wipe out Shannon's return, it led to a 34-yard field goal and a 24-14 lead. All we want to know about is R.J. Washington getting a hold of that quarterback and knocking the ball out.
We had some, high-scoring games these last couple of games, and as a defense, that's not what we wanted. But to end all of that and fight through all that and injuries and this guy going down, that guy going down, and to end it with a Big 12 championship in Fort Worth, nothing like it.
So we've reached the premier play from the final week of the season. Really wasn't that close this week. At number 1, with over 60% of the vote, is Mr. Untouchable. It had been 2 months since Damian Williams had ran away with the top spot on the Quest. Chicks dig the long run. We were less than a minute into the second half with the Sooners hanging on to a touchdown lead when Damian broke loose. I don't know that he broke loose as much as he ran free, untouched for 66 yards. Sooners went up 21-7. Williams ran the ball 18 times for 115 yards and 1 score. It was his 4th run of at least 65 yards this season.
It's just the line, executing, and all I can do, no one touched me actually, so, it's the line doing what they're supposed to do. Receivers running guys out, blocking guys. So all I can do is, run as hard as I could, make sure to let nobody catch me.
That's all great and all, but we want to know how he managed to take a leisurely stroll down Route 66 without so much as having a finger laid upon it. Anyway, that's what Damian had to say. How about what you have to say? If you want to tweet me a Christmas card, send me something through Twitter or on Facebook, here's our Twitter, or whatever you call them. Here's how you get a hold of us on Twitter, @the_Quest and @HighlightGenesis. Tweet me a Christmas card, I would like that. Or on News OK Sports Facebook page. How about the bowl games? It's going to be a while now. We're not going to be on a weekly basis now, but we are going to get to some bowl games eventually. Coming up on January 1st, 11 a.m. Yeah, that's not real nice for me. Heart of Dallas Bowl. Oklahoma State versus Purdue. I don't know what to say about this one. The Cowboys got, well, that's unfortunate for them. How about the next game, though? This game was in the Cotton Bowl, but the next game is the Cotton Bowl at Jerry World. Number 12, Oklahoma versus number 10, Texas A&M, 7 o'clock on January 4th. That's at Cowboy Stadium in Arlington. It's the Cotton Bowl in Jerry World. The other one is in the Cotton Bowl, but it's actually the Heart of Dallas Bowl. This one, of course, will include probable Heisman winner, Johnny Football. Of course, we'll see if he actually wins the Heisman this Saturday night. So that'll do it for another season of The Quest, sponsored by our good friends at Call Okie. Remember, call before you dig. Calling 811 early will make sure you don't have to dial 911 later. Happy holidays. Perhaps I'll see you next year on The Quest.